Hi guys. This is not a video I typically would make, but there's a good reason why I'm making it, because there's a point I want to make because of something that happened. You see, you just assume that people have this knowledge, but they don't. For some reason, they just don't. And you would think that a guy that works on vehicles would know how to properly jack up a vehicle. But there's guys out there that don't know how to properly jack up a vehicle. And there's a lot of women that don't know how to jack up a vehicle. A young guy from right here where I live died yesterday morning, Thursday morning, because he was working on a full-size pickup truck in a garage. I don't know if it was his truck or he was working on it for somebody, because it happened down in the city, but he's from here where I live. And he went to work on this truck in the garage. The truck came down on him and crushed him to death, and he was just found this morning. He lay dead in the garage underneath the pickup truck for 24 hours before he was just found. So I thought if I could help somebody in this video so that never happens to them, it's worth making. Because you can't just assume that all guys know what they're doing any more than you could assume that all women know what they're doing. Both sexes screw up when it comes to jacking up a vehicle. What I have right here is 3 different types of jacks. 2 are fluid driven, 1 is mechanical. This one right here is called a bottle jack. You do the handle and see how it raises up. It's just a piston. That's called a bottle jack. I got this one at a sale, and I reconditioned it and refilled it with hydraulic jack fluid and brought it back to life. This is a scissor jack. This is what comes in most of your new vehicles today. It's just a scissor jack, and all it is a continuous screw that goes all the way through the whole jack, and the more you screw it and turn it, the higher it raises. See there? And they give you this wrench thing to put on here to crank it up. And then this is my big 2-ton hydraulic service jack. It's got the plate on the end of it. Now, my van weighs just under 2 ton, just under 4,000 pounds. So this jack is more than sufficient enough to raise this Toyota van off the ground. You never, ever want to rely on just the jack alone. Never do that. Ever, under any circumstances. I don't care how big of a hydraulic jack you've got. Never, ever jack up a vehicle and then go under it. Never. It doesn't matter if it's hydraulic, mechanical, whatever type of jack it might be. You never want to do that. You want to use jack stands with the jack. Tell them, Casey. Or use blocks. Big, heavy-duty, pressure-treated blocks. Whether if they're 6x6, 4x4, 8x8. You want to have your blocks to where when slid under a vehicle after it's jacked up, this takes up the space from the ground to the bottom of the vehicle, so there is no way that that vehicle can come down and collapse on you. The kid was crushed to death, and he was only 28 years old. That's it. The family has to be notified now. So you never ever want to jack up a vehicle and just rely on the jack. You also want to chock the other wheels. Like if this corner is raised up, I'm going to make sure that both wheels on the back of the van have chocks under them. You want to chock the wheels. You want to put something to where the vehicle can't roll forward. Another mistake people do when jacking up a vehicle, they'll take the hubcap off and then they'll start jacking up the vehicle, and then they'll loosen the lug nuts. Don't do that. Because when your vehicle is up in the air and you try to loosen the lug nuts, if you're using like a regular tire iron that comes with your vehicle, the wheel's gonna just spin as it's up in the air. why the weight of the vehicle is down on the tire. After you pull the hubcap, that's when you want to break loose the lug nuts on it. Don't back them all the way off. You're going to just loosen them and then leave it alone. Then jack up the vehicle and then take the lug nuts the rest of the way off. So loosen before you lift. Loosen before you lift. Don't lift and then loosen. It's always loosen before you lift. Use blocks, big, thick, heavy blocks. Use jack stands. Chock your wheels so the vehicle can't, once it's up, like if you were up on just this scissor jack like this and it was raised all the way up, it'd be more over here. But if it was raised all the way up, this jack has such a narrow base that it could tip. Once it's raised up, it could tip and the vehicle could roll forward and it's going to let it down on its wheel, and now you're pinned underneath there. Even this one has a narrow base. Any of these can tip. Look how narrow. They can just, once they're raised up, they can tip this way. And if you're going to be jacking on ground that isn't concrete or blacktop, asphalt, you're going to want to put a flat piece of pressure treated wood as a platform underneath the jack, because the wider the footprint, the harder it is for it to sink in the ground. If you're jacking a vehicle up on the lawn, which you should never ever do unless you got something sufficient underneath the foot of the jack to prevent the weight of the vehicle from driving that jack into soft ground. Don't ever do that. Never rely on just a jack by itself. You want to have backup after backup after backup. When you jack up a vehicle that weighs thousands of pounds, and I don't care if it's a truck, a van, a 4-cylinder car, it could be a farm tractor. I've heard of full-grown large men even getting pinned beneath a lawn tractor. Even a lawn tractor is heavy enough to where it can pin you. It may not kill you, but it still could pin you to where you couldn't get enough air into your lungs to even scream for help. This full-size pickup truck this kid was working on, it came down. It crushed him and it killed him. And the reason why you never trust fluid jacks, the difference between a mechanical jack or a fluid jack, is that if it doesn't have enough fluid in the cylinder and the seals could possibly be bad, it will suddenly just start to slowly let the vehicle down. And while you're under there working on your vehicle, you don't realize your vehicle is slowly coming down because the jack is failing. By the time you realize that you are pinned underneath the vehicle and it's still coming down, you can't get a full breath of air to scream for help, and that vehicle could crush you or restrict you enough to where you cannot breathe and you would suffocate to death. And no one would know it's even happening to you because you wouldn't have enough air in your lungs to scream for help. Never, ever trust these jacks that are fluid driven. If you've only got like these kind of 2 jacks, use this one as a backup. Use this one to lift the vehicle and then crank this one up right next to it. And then use jack stands, use blocks, chock your wheels. The more safety precautions you take, the more successful you'll be with fixing your own vehicle. Don't make the mistake of just getting under a vehicle with just a jack. Never do that. I know probably all of you guys watching this video already know this information. It's nothing new, but there are people out there that don't know this. So if one person watches this video and it might possibly save their life because maybe next week they were planning on working on their vehicle and they'll remember this video, if it helps somebody, it's worth making. Because after that happened to that kid, when that kid should have known how to properly secure a full-size vehicle before working on it, he'd still be alive if he just took the precautions. But hey, quickly jack it up, get under there, do the work. The thing came down, now he's dead. So there's the difference, you guys. I hope this helps. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again in another one. Bye-bye.